What's up, guys? Levi with Of All Nations here. We've got the rope all set up. We're going to talk about shooting from a static line today. And this is how I started out. I would jug maybe a foot or 2 feet off the ground and get used to where all my equipment was at and get used to using it. That way, when I was going to shoot climbing, I knew everything. I knew where it was all at. I didn't have to fumble around and maybe miss a shot. Really would highly recommend that for all of you who are just getting started in shooting from a static line. So let's jump right into it. First things first, we're going to talk about what I have on my harness, and then we're going to jug this line, and I'll show you a little bit about the setup that I have and why I've chosen to shoot it that way. All right, on to the fun stuff. So here's my bag. It's just a little low pro bag. They're like 20 bucks. This just removes my camera from the equation. I don't have to worry about it catching on anything if it's around my neck as a strap, or bumping into the rock or any type of harsh material that might damage my lens or my camera body. Right now I'm set up to shoot either to my right or straight down. The reason being is I want it removed from all the other stuff that might get in my shot, right? I don't want to have to worry about editing it out later. So again, I'm set up to shoot straight down or to the right. If I wanted to shoot to the left, I would just switch everything over. That way, again, I'm shooting in this direction. All of my camera gear will be here. All of the rock climbing equipment will be on the side that I'm not using. The only time I'll switch this up is if I know I'm shooting to my left-hand side. Then I'll just move everything over to the other side. Again, the idea is just getting it out of the frame. That way we don't have to edit it out later and cause more work for us in post. We're going to talk about some of the protective gear that I have on. This is a rope protector. This is actually a friend of mine, Gigi's. I have this from the last time I climbed in Czech with him a year ago. Gigi, if you're wondering where it's at, I have it and I will get it back to you. The way that this works is you attach it over your climbing rope at a point where there's a pinch. So usually this is going to be when you're at your anchor system and you're rappelling over the cliff and there's a sharp edge, or an edge of any kind really. You're going to want to protect that rope so that way you don't core shot it or eat away at the sheath of that rope. So what you're going to do is open this up. I'll just open it halfway for now to show you. And the rope is going to slide in through here. And then you just Velcro it back up. And now when your rope is going over that pinch point, it's going to sit on this hard rubber material versus damaging your rope. If you're looking for a cheaper version of this, garden hose works just fine. Just cut a section of garden hose, slit it down one side, and then you can attach it over your rope. Really, really great piece of gear. You know, another $15, $20 spent, that will save you $200, $300 in ropes. Just by being able to protect them, they'll last a lot longer for you, and you'll feel a lot more confident when you're jugging on those lines, knowing that you're not eating away at your rope on top of you. Next, I have my personal anchor systems, or PASs. As you can see, I have one attached here. I use these for a number of different reasons. These two here, I like to use one to attach to my camera. That way, if it were to fall or if I were to let go of it, it is just going to hang here. My second one, I will actually use as it's intended, and I will use it as an anchoring system to the rock. So I will attach it to a cam to pull myself closer, or I will attach it to a bolt hanger and pull myself in. That way I can get a little bit different perspective, or I can actually reach out left and right and pull myself maybe out of a direct line with that static line. If I have a climber that's coming up and I'm shooting down on top of them, I can pull myself out of the way. That way they can continue on without me interfering with the climb at all. The next one you're seeing here, I will attach to my harness, and I will attach it to my ascender. That way I have 2 points that are on the rope at all times. That way if one were to fail, I have a backup system in place. All right, so now we've got some of the absolutely essentials. Your GriGri, or your motion capture device for ascending the rope. Of course, we've got our ascender, which we'll talk about in a second, but we need another way to pull the slack through from our ascender. Some photographers will use 2 ascenders with foot loops and ascend that way. Definitely an option. I think this is just a little bit more foolproof, and everyone who's shooting climbing or is a climber has a GriGri. So this is a really great piece to start with, and we'll be talking about ascending a rope with a GriGri and an ascender today. That's the only technique that I'll be showing you. So this lives on my harness no matter what I'm doing. great little tool. Next we'll talk about the Ascender. So here we have our Ascender. It is a right-handed Ascender made by Petzl. This is the lightest model that I know of in Ascenders. I use it, one, again, because it's light. Two, fits my hand really well. Practically all Ascenders are made the same. You're not going to have an issue with any of them that you decide to go with from a major brand. I have a little Petzl step here, which you'll notice is very slender. It's a lot smaller than a lot of the aider ladders that you see out there. And the reason is I don't need a huge ladder. I feel that they're cumbersome and they get in the way of your shot, and then they're hard to manage when you do have to pull them up and set them on your harness. This is super easy to work around. It just sits right back into the carabiner and it's out of the way. I really think that you don't need a huge ladder to stand on when you're only going to use one step anyways. So this is the Ascender that I actually work with. Next up, I've got some Alpine draws. These have limitless uses. I think you should always carry at least two, if not for your anchors, then for other uses. I use a Alpine draw for pulling up my camera bag or setting it on my harness when I'm jugging the line, which I'll show you later. Really, really useful tools. You can use them for just about anything. I would always recommend carrying at least two. Next, I've got a little sling here. Again, super useful. You can use them for just about anything. For this length, I have a couple different uses. This one's made by BlueWater ropes. Pretty much everything that I use, whether it's my static line, my slings, they're usually BlueWater ropes. Really love their stuff. Go check them out if you haven't heard of them before. Again, just multiple different uses. I'll show you some of the different reasons why I have this on my harness today. These kind of go hand in hand. If you're a climber, every climber needs to have these. You have your ATC with guide mode. This ATC allows me to rappel if I need to get down from a climb. And then I have my third hand, again, just a safety piece that every single climber or photographer should have. If I need to use an emergency ascent, I can use this with as a prusik. I can use it as a third hand when I'm rappelling down from the climb. These two should live on your harness. Next, I have another motion capture device. I use this for actually hauling up my camera bag if it's extremely heavy and I don't feel like having it attached to me at the time that I'm jugging. This is the micro traction from Petzl on a locking carabiner. Really, really great piece of gear that I think every climber should have. And if you're a climbing photographer, this is a great one to add to the bag. Just going to make things way more smooth lined and way safer for your whole shooting experience. So next you have locking and non-locking carabiners. Obviously there's tons of different uses and practical applications for these when you're shooting from a static line. We'll touch on a few of them today. I definitely recommend having at least two of each on your harness that don't have immediate uses. That way if you get up there and you forget something, you can always use these in a number of different applications. So as far as climbing anchors go for setting up a static line, I'm really not going to talk too much about that, just out of the safety precaution. If you have questions about setting up anchors or taking photos, talk to a guide. Talk to someone who's certified in it. Their job is tying knots and setting anchors. There's plenty of people online that will give you great resources that are guides, but that's just not for me to speak on. If you want to look it up yourself and you just want more information on the subject, I use a figure 8 on a bite for probably about 80% of what I'm shooting, and the other knot that I use is a double bite figure 8 or a bunny ears figure 8 on a bite. Again, you can look those up if you'd like, but I really would recommend talking to a guide about setting up your static line. That way it's in a safe manner and you don't have to worry about it the whole time you're shooting. All right, so now it's time to jug the line. First things first, attach our GriGri through the climber side. Pull the slack through. Now we're attached. Now we could totally sit down, do whatever we needed to do. We know that we're safe on this device. So now that we've got our GriGri attached, we're going to attach our Ascender. Pull the lever back, attach like so. Now you'll notice I can't pull it down, but I can move it up. That's due to the teeth inside the Ascender. There we are. release our foot loop, straighten it out. There we are. Now we need to take our personal anchor system and attach it to our ascender. All right. We're just going to run through a clove hitch here, through our master point. There we are. We're going to attach this to our ascender. Get this out of the way. Tighten that down. There we are. Now we're attached. So a big thing that's going to save you so much time when you're shooting and climbing is doing a redirect on our static line through our ascender and then back down. The reason why we would do this is now when I have this redirect, I can pull down instead of pulling up to pull the slack through of my GriGri. So let's set that up. I'm going to take my locking carabiner. I'm going to run it through here at the bottom. Pull that through. Tighten down this locker. Alright, so now I can pull down through this locking carabiner and it'll take the slack out of my GriGri. Alright, so I've got myself all rigged in here. As you can see, I've got everything out of the way of each other. So now when I step down with my right foot, it's not going to be interfering at all with my redirect as it comes through. This is out of the way of all my other equipment. Now I'm ready to start jugging the line. First things first, foot through the foot loop. And what I'm going to do is push this up as high as I can, right? So now I pull all the slack through with my redirect of my GriGri, and I'm basically just going to stand up on this foot as I move my hand up and I pull down with the redirect, like so. Alright, so I'm going to give you a little bit closer look at the setup here as I'm hanging. As you can see, I've got my GriGri. I have my redirect here, right? So my brake strand comes up through the redirect and back down. I have my PAS and I'm all tied in. So let's go ahead and jug just a little bit higher and we'll talk about getting our camera gear up. Alright, so here we are. I'm going to jug up just a little ways so I can show you my technique. It depends if you're against a wall or if you are in free hanging space. Obviously it's going to be a lot more difficult if you're free hanging and don't have something to push off against. But basic principles are, we're going to move up our right hand, move up our right foot, as you can see there, and then I'm going to rock up onto this foot as I pull down with my brake strand, right? And that's going to help me move up. It's going to pull all the slack through. And there we have it. All right, I'll meet you guys at the top. All right, so we've just finished jugging our line. As you can see, I've moved my camera gear over to the left, as you're to my left, and all of my rock climbing equipment is now on my right hand side. Let's go ahead and get ourselves set up to shoot some of the climbing. First things first, I'm going to move my foot loop out of the way. Just kind of get rid of everything that's dangling. That way I don't have to worry about any of it being in my shot. Alright, so now I don't have anything dangling down below me except for the rope. We're going to take care of that really quick. Now I won't always side saddle my rope. It just depends on which way I'm shooting. If I'm shooting this way, I don't have to worry about the rope being in my shot or catching a shadow. But if I'm shooting to the left, or if I'm shooting directly below me, then I'll side saddle my rope. That way I don't have to worry about it getting in my shot. Side saddling a rope is super easy. I'm going to walk you through a little bit of it. Basically I have my length of rope, which is down on the ground. All I'm going to do is make nice neat little coils across my lap like this. And I'm going to do that for the whole length of rope so that I get it up on my harness and out of my shot. Again, could you edit this out of your shots using a spot healing tool? Yes, you definitely could, but for an extra 2 or 3 minutes of work, you'll save yourself 10 minutes of work in post, getting something that may not quite look as good as just getting it out of the way. So I'm going to speed this up, but give you an idea of what that looks like. Alright, so now I've got this all nice and neat over my lap, and we need to attach it to our harness in a way that's not going to obstruct our view of our climber. So I'm going to take that little sling that I had earlier. We're going to run it through here, right? And now I can either set that on the side of my harness here, right? The only issue you have with this is it's still hanging down below you. If that climber is really close to me, it might still show up in that shot. But what I can do is, now that I've got this, you know, somewhat even layer of rope, since I'm not using anything that's up here, I can actually attach it up here, and now I don't have to worry about any of it being in my shooting at all when I'm shooting straight down. It's up and out of the way. I can get to it and release it if I need to, but now I don't have to worry about it being in any of my photos. Alright, so now that we're all set up here, we've got everything out of the way, we're ready to shoot either straight down or to the camera. We need to get our actual camera out. As you can see, I've saved this PAS here, and the reason being is I'm going to attach it to my camera strap now. So I'm going to reach back here, open up my camera bag. First thing I do, I grab that little bit of strap and I attach it, lock that down. Now if something were to happen, I'm attached. I don't have to worry about that going anywhere. Don't worry about it falling and shattering into a million pieces, or catching my climber and really pissing them off. Alright. Watch out for lens hoods. They're super easy to drop. Take off our lens cap. Immediately put it back into our bag. I can just let this hang now, since I'm not worried about it falling anywhere. Close my camera bag up. And I'm ready to shoot some dang climbing. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty excited. So, a couple different things to note when you're shooting this way. You're pretty much going to shoot from the back monitor every single time. You're never going to use this eyepiece, just because this is obviously very constraining versus this. You know, I've got a lot more freedom to get unique angles if I want to shoot directly down, have it really, really close to the rock, or if I want to slide backwards, catch it from up higher, to the left, to the right. It's a way, way easier if you're shooting from that back monitor. If I'm worried about dropping this, again, even though it's connected, I don't want to drop it. Sometimes I'll throw it over my shoulder and shoot this way. It gives me a little bit more stabilization, or I'll throw it over my neck. Yeah, but this is pretty much my setup for shooting climbing. If I need more than one lens, I'll bring a camera bag, and I'll show you how to bring that up really quick. Also, for those of you who are interested in how I change camera lenses on the same body when I'm shooting, I do it right over my bag. So if I've got two lenses, this stays right here the whole time. I can unattach it and reattach it without it ever leaving the bag. Don't have to worry about anything dropping out of this bag, in case you're curious. So I'm not sure how many of you have ever tried jugging a line with a backpack on your back full of camera gear, but it sucks. It's really, really heavy. And because your straps are up here, it pulls you back constantly. So you're constantly having to do a sit-up with your bag. I was shown a really ingenious way to get around that because I wasn't smart enough to think of it on my own. But what I do is I attach an Alpine draw to the top of my bag, or just the most secure point, wherever that's going to be for you on your bag. And then I attach that to my master point at the base, right? So underneath all of my other crap that I've got attached there. And now I am attached to my bag, and I can carry it up without feeling any of that weight on my shoulders. So now I've got everything out of the way, and it's time to bring my bag up and set it up in a way that's conducive for taking photos. So I haul it up. Here we are, I'm still attached. what I'm going to do is take my other Alpine draw while I'm still attached. I haven't detached it from anything, so if it were to fall, I don't have to worry about it hitting the ground or going anywhere, rather. So now that I've attached it to my Jumar, let's pull that down so you can see it a little bit better. There we are. Can you see that? Yeah, you can. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is attach this to the back side of my bag here, as you can see. So now I'm attached in the back. We're going to flip all these open too. We're going to get those out of the way. Then, where I was attached at my harness, I'm going to unclip because now I'm attached to my Jumar with it. So I've stayed attached this whole time. I'm going to pull that through, and I'm going to attach it up here wherever it's equalized. So now I've got my camera bag set up with a nice little platform, and so now I could set my camera on here if I wanted to, you know, make it a little bit easier to review photos, doing whatever I'm doing. I've got a nice little work platform. So let's put that back up. You say, okay, maybe I'm shooting off of 2 camera bodies, maybe I've got 4 or 5 lenses, or I've got a camera flash I'm going to need because our lighting's not the greatest. I can get into all of that here. So let's just open this up. Right, take my bag here, fold it back out of the way. Now I've got all of my camera gear all right here for me in a level spot, and I don't have to worry about any of it jumping out. So now if I need to change lenses, I can do so. If I need to get out my second camera body, I can do so. And it's not weighing me down. I'm not having it pull me back at all. And it's all just right here, whatever I need. This is super, super convenient. I shoot about 60 to 70% of my climbing with the backpack, so this is the way that I found works best for me. If you have any tips or things that you do that I didn't touch on, let me know. I'd love to hear about it. If you're curious about this bag, it's a Gitzo Adventury 35 liter. Super convenient. I really like this bag a lot. But yeah, so this is pretty much how I shoot and rig all of my climbing photos. If you have any questions, be sure just to let me know. Catch you in the next one.